Hello, everyone. I am excited because today is the top of the month. That means that we get to have a group chat, and I have been waiting for weeks for this day. So I'm excited. I've already got people waiting in the waiting room, ready to come on after I do my intro. If you have joined my email list, there is actually an email waiting for you in your inbox with the information on how to join via Zoom. So the login details are there. Thank you to everyone who's hit the like so far. Let me know what city and state you're watching from or what area you are watching from, because I know not everyone is in the US. But tonight, you guys, if you did not see all the announcements and notifications, we are about to get into it, okay? On Instagram, we have so many discussions and there's so much that I want to say, but it's really not conducive in Instagram comments. So tonight, I am inviting people on camera to join the discussion. Now, I see Walter's comment. He said he forgot about this. He's at the gym. Walter, hurry up, get out of the gym. You can join without your camera on. That's the other thing. So if it's not too loud in the background, because that will be disruptive, but if you guys are somewhere and you're not in a position to be on camera, you can join off camera. Just make sure we can hear you and hear you clearly, okay? Greetings, Paul Arthur. Thank you so much for joining in. Okay, guys, so excited because people are filling the waiting room. And for those of you who are watching and you're going to be joining in or going to be on camera, just make sure you put your volume for YouTube on mute. So if you guys are having two different devices, make sure you have that mute so we don't get that feedback. But it really helps that YouTube sees that people are watching. So if you want to watch it, you can do that, okay? Paul Arthur says, can I join? Yes, love, and I'm positive you're on my list. So just check your email and you'll see the link that was sent to you for YouTube. Okay, so I doubt I have any newbies, but just in case, I'm going to get into this. You guys, my name is Yancy. I am obsessed with all things love, dating, sex, and relationships. Welcome to my channel, Chasing Yancy. I go live every Monday night at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But the first Monday of the month, I am bringing people on like I did back in the day. All right, I have written 2 books for you guys to check out. The first one is First Date 101. It's a man's guide to dating a man. This is a book written for women based on the information given to me directly from tons and tons and tons of men. So where I saw common denominators, I added that in the book. The other one, Why Women Love A-Holes. This is for all the self-proclaimed good guys. There's a reason you're good on paper, but you're not getting the ladies. There is a je ne sais quoi that women require to be attracted to a man. So I break it all down in this book. And you can go ahead and grab that. It's only like $8, at least right now. I don't know if I'll raise the price later, but snatch yourself up a copy. And I'm going to let people in the waiting room come on in. Okay, so let me go ahead and, because y'all know I have to do all my little stuff myself. So just bear with me while I let people in. Okay. All right. Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Y'all, we haven't done this in so long. We got people coming in. Gonna let them get settled. And don't forget to drop your city and state that you're watching from. I love this. All right, guys. So if you have your YouTube on a second device, thank you, because it helps me get points for YouTube. But make sure you turn the volume all the way down so we don't get some weird echo. But everybody settle in. Those of you who want to turn your cameras on, you're welcome to. Those of you who do not want to turn your cameras on, that's totally fine. And thank you to everybody who has smashed that like button already. I really, really appreciate that. Oh, we got Paul Arthur. He came on camera. Very nice. Nice to see you, sir. Welcome back.
Greetings, Yancy. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. Your quality is really, really good. And then everyone else, you guys are welcome to comment in the chat box. If you would like to comment in the chat box, you can do that if you have something that you need to ask or say. And it doesn't need to be on camera. Welcome to Just Humble Me Clark. He said it's been a while, but he's here. Nice. And sir, you're welcome to join in on camera too if you want. If you're on my email list, you have already received the link, the login link. Okay, so we've got the Bellas representing today. Welcome, guys. Oh, we have... Let's see. Oh no, I see one woman. There we go. That was so funny because your screens moved at the same time, and I was like, "Am I tripping?" I could have sworn. Okay, so we got one woman holding us down for all these fellas here.
Look,
so
once I heard that, I was like, let me come on camera.
Look! And it was so funny because as soon as you did that, your screen switched with the gentleman, and my brain was like, wait. So we'll say hello to you first. Ladies first. How are you, love?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am ecstatic. I'm trying to keep it calm so that I can speak clearly because I'm so excited. Is it Chanel? Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Chanel.
Perfect. Now, I do allow this if you guys want. If you know how to change your names, your screen names, still leave your name you want me to call you. But if you want to put your Instagram handle or something like that, because some people might be digging what you have to say and they might want to follow you. So you're welcome to, if you know how to do that, edit your name. So mine says Yancy, for example, and then you could put on there after that Chasing Yancy if you want, at symbol Chasing Yancy. Make sense, everyone?
Gotcha.
Perfect. Hello, Michael. Welcome. Oh, so you're a little muted. Let's see. It's not.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I am very well, thank you. Very nice to have you. I love the bravery because this is not for everyone. This is not for the faint of heart. What'd you say?
Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, my pleasure. We got Howard in the house. We got the OG. Hey, this is like his third time probably on YouTube, I think, or a couple. He's been a couple times. So he's an OG now. He's a vet. He's in there. Nice to have you. And I want to say Roxy, if my memory serves me, is our favorite furry friend. Okay, she's here. She's around. We got Brian. Hey, Brian. Everyone say hello to Brian. Hi. All right.
How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you for asking. And then we have Mike here. Mike, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I'll be on camera as soon as I get home. So
perfect.
Thank you for the invitation.
We are appreciating your suit photo. So hey, thanks for the nice stuff to look at while we're waiting.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And we got Jason suited also in his photo. Jason, how are you doing? Can you hear us, sir?
I can hear you just great. Can you hear me?
I can. Ooh, we about to start, you guys. Okay, so this is so much fun. Oh, okay, perfect, Walter. This is so exciting. Now, those of you who may be new to either my channel or being on a group chat, I think all of you are new except for Paul Author and Howard. But I will say this. When we have discussions, and honestly, I usually don't have an issue with the men. No shade to the ladies watching. But this is always meant to be a discussion and not an argument or a fight. So, all in favor? Head nods. Very good. Perfect. Emojis in the chat. Whatever you need to do. Perfect. So, if someone is speaking, we're going to use the Clubhouse term, one mic. And if we have too many people who want to share, I will limit it to a certain number. We'll make it like, 1, 2, 3 comments, something like that. So we can get through because there are a lot of topics. The only thing I ask people to do is to not be derogatory or condescending. It's okay to disagree. It is not okay to talk trash. If we do those two things, we can disagree the entire time and you will not have a problem. You will not see Mama Yancy come out. All right, so without further ado, let's officially get started. I'm way too excited for this. Oh yeah, he said no cussing. Please no cursing because I need to get paid. So let's just be honest. And I don't want to offend anybody. But yes, YouTube does not do well with cursing. So please, thank you for reminding me of that, Anthony. All right, so we're going to be talking about gender roles. I know that gender roles is something that makes a lot of people bristle. Usually more so it makes the women bristle than, anything. But I found that a lot of times we haven't even defined what the gender roles are. We all have different ideas of what gender roles are. So I think the best place to start is really defining what gender roles are. And so you guys can each contribute something that you think, and you can kind of shout it out. It takes too long if everyone's like politely raising their hands. So just kind of shout out. And then if you hear someone kind of taking the lead, just back off. But we kind of fill each other out that way. But let's start talking about gender roles, because the overall thing that we want to decide tonight in this discussion, yes, there is an objective. Do they hurt us or harm us? Which is the final decision, okay? So let's start off. Who would like to give their first contribution to the discussion on what do you think the gender role is? And we'll start with men, not men answering, but gender roles for men. Let's discuss, what do we think gender roles are for men?
I'll start.
Fantastic.
All right. So, gender roles for men. Now, are we talking about now or traditionally?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Please do now. I would love to know now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that it would be good to have a discussion of both. And maybe what you could say is where it departs. So as you're talking about current day, you could say, you know, unlike the past, because then that would highlight what the past was. So, but I like that. Let's talk about what we think gender roles are today.
All right.
In contrast.
So gender roles today, in my opinion, unfortunately, are more 50-50 than ever. But if you want to place it just on the man, I would still think that he still holds the majority of the heavy stuff, heavy lifting stuff, yard stuff, a percentage of dealing with any kids. And also, I do believe, contrary to popular belief, that most men do, if possible, want to control and bring in like most of the financial responsibility.
Okay. I appreciate that. Okay, so how many of you, I would say by a show of hands, but those of you who are off camera can just hit the hand emoji. How many of you guys would agree that today's gender roles are split 50-50? How many of you agree with just that statement? Okay, so we got one person agreeing, and we don't have any emoji hands, so I'm going to assume you guys are, your hands are down. Okay.
So what I would say is it depends on probably how you were raised, right? So a lot of things come from the generation that came before you, and what taught or given to you. So where one man may be 50-50, it may be the ebb and flow of that. There's still a lot of men out there that still think of it in the same way of the primary breadwinner, the protector, you know, those sorts of things.
Okay.
I think it's about, you know, the individual and where you come from.
I really like that. Does anyone disagree with that last statement? That it really, for each person, it typically you're affected by how you were raised. Would you guys agree with that? I should say, is anyone disagreeing with that before we move on? Okay, so I think we would agree. So out of the, 8 of us, how many feel, or I should say this way, is there anyone who feels that the traditional roles should be done away with? And we're going to describe what the traditional gender roles are, but does anyone just off top think that they should be done away with? Okay, so not a single person. Okay, y'all, we're going to make some progress here. So if we don't think that they should be done away with, then this is the perfect time to transition into what we describe. Okay, so why don't we take one by one, and each person add one thing to the list of what we think the man's traditional role is. And we'll start with you, Paul Arthur, then we'll go to Michael, then we'll move over to Brian, then we'll jump to Chanel, then we'll jump to Mike. Y'all, the screens keep moving. Then we'll jump to Jason. And then I think I already said Howard. So if I did already, then we'll keep that order. All right. So let's just quick rattle off. What are these gender roles traditionally for men?
Traditionally for men, usually it's always making the money.
Okay. So
you know,
provision.
That's the number one thing that comes to my head.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So number 2, Michael, what would you add to that?
I would say for me, traditional gender roles for men has always been protection and provision.
Okay. Perfect. All right. And what would you add, Brian?
Excuse me, leadership and guidance.
All right. Perfect. I believe Howard originally was next.
The guys actually picked good ones.
Right? I know they made it harder for the people at the end.
Well, I'm the typical old version. You know, the gentleman that's a very what do you call romantic? He wants to open the door for his woman,
Okay.
hold her hand. You know, that romantic guy that just sweeps her off her feet.
That's chivalry. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. We're getting a really nice, well-rounded definition. Okay, Mike, and then Jason. What are you going to add to that? Unless you feel it's been covered, Mike.
Well, a lot of it has been covered, but I think I can always come up with another word. I would say delegation.
Okay, perfect. And I'm going to put that under leadership if that's okay, because a leader delegates. You guys
Sure.
come to YouTube. All right, and then who do we have last? Jason, do you have anything you want to add to that list?
Yes. The discipline, guidance, and adding wisdom to the children.
Okay. All right, so this is actually a really good list. I'm going to read it together, and I lumped things together that I thought were like. So we have provision, obviously financially mostly. We have protection, leadership, which delegation falls under that. Guidance and wisdom kind of goes hand in hand. They were someone said it specifically regarding the children. He is the one who is chivalrous, and then discipline, which would come to the children. Do we feel like that's a pretty good? Did we kind of cover it? All right. Whew. Here's the fun part. Let me take a sip of water.
Other than the heavy lifting part of everything.
I was going to say heavy lifting, gross things, if it's icky trash or a disgusting bug or scary. But I guess you would kind of pick that. You'd probably put the gross stuff under protector. So we'll do heavy lifting and anything that calls for bravery. All right. So we're going to transition now. Gender roles traditionally for women. We're going to go in order. And I'm sorry, y'all. I ignored you in the comments. Provide, profess, protect. Security, yes. Okay. Perfect. Oh, yes. Walter added the faith component if you are a believer. And I would actually say that falls under leadership. It would just be under the subheading of spiritual. Okay. All right. So let's get into this. We're going to go backwards. So we are going to go, and actually because the screen's reordered now, we're going to go in the order that I can see them. We're going to start with Howard. Then we'll go Jason. I skipped Chanel. I'm so sorry, my love. Did you have one that you wanted to add? Poor dear.
You're going to bring her in for this part.
I meant to have everyone's take. I don't know how I missed her. Okay, she might have got a call. Okay, so we'll go Howard, Jason, then Mike. If Chanel's back on, Chanel. Then we'll do Brian, then Michael, and then finish up with Paul Arthur, okay? All right, so Howard, what would you give us for the woman's traditional gender roles?
The nourishing side. The, because every child, it's the mom. They want the mom. The mommy kiss the owie. The daddy, well, he's the tough guy, right? So it's, yeah.
Like the nurture.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And we have someone who wants to come on. Unfortunately, I won't be able to send it right now since I'm live on the show. So if you are comfortable typing your email address and there's somebody here who is comfortable forwarding you that email, you can do that. Otherwise, unfortunately, I will not be able to. I just can't do two things at once. So, all right. So we have the nurturer. Jason, can you add to this list?
It's a big one and goes into a lot of different areas, but pretty much just controlling, taking care of the home, inside the home.
Okay, so we'll say homemaker. That's a good one. Okay, and Mike?
I would say healer.
Okay. And I'm going to put that under the subcategory of nurturing. Okay. Perfect. Chanel, if you can hear, you can add on. If not, we're going to move to Brian and then Michael.
So for me, I would go back to what I said initially, where it depends on what you saw growing up. I saw both. My grandmother was a head nurse. Obviously, she's going to fix boo-boos. Everybody that knew my grandmother called my grandmother mom. Literally, called for advice and all those things. But she still cooked dinner. She still provided. She still led. She still did all of, or a lot of things that in today's world we would constitute as things that a man would do. Right?
Right.
So my worked third shift, but dinner was cooked. My grandfather was a laborer. He worked construction, but dinner was cooked. Homework was dealt with my mom and her siblings and such. And so she poured into the household even back then, but also was a mother and a grandmother and a nurturer and all those things too. So once again, I think goes back to, it depends on what you saw as a man or a woman growing up.
Okay.
To the
No, that's a very, very good point. Okay. And you, Michael?
I believe this is going to fall under nurturing, but I believe the woman's gender role is she is the peace. Because depending on what the energy that she brings to actually enhance the environment of the home and in certain situations, that feminine energy could be the difference between the peace within the home, the peace within the marriage, the peace overall to kind of just channel the situation and help with the children as well as self. And just, again, it's a nurturing energy, but peace.
Okay. That's really good. And actually, I decided to put the big umbrella of energy because these are all kind of like energies, but I think it's good to identify specifics. So Chanel, I don't know if you heard right before you had to click off, but I realized I completely forgot you for the first round, and that was not intentional. So,
oh no, that's okay. They said everything. I was like, oh, well,
okay.
They stole my ideas.
I was like, I don't want her to think I didn't see her. I mean, I didn't, not because intentionally, not trying to.
It's okay.
Did you want to add anything to the woman's gender role, and then we're gonna go to Paul Arthur next?
It does fall underneath nurturer, but it's also being the encouragement in the household.
Okay.
Whether it's children, whether it's the man encouraging. That's kind of what I saw in my house, was my mom being the cheerleader for everybody.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Speaking life.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, and we're gonna close out with Mr. Mays.
Yeah, everybody pretty much said everything, but I think for me, the number one thing that comes to my mind is that communication, because I value, like, I want to be able to talk to you. Like, if something happens or anything like that, the first thing I want to say, oh, let me call my wife. So I want her to be the first person to tell everything, to be like, hey, babe, this is what's happening. This is this. And I thrive on making sure that communication is there. So I want her, for me, to be the first line of communication for me, and having that dependable person that I know I can talk to, outside of, like, because there's certain things that I can tell my wife that I'm not going to be able to tell, say, like, my family members or my friends. I want to be able to have that intimate, safe space where I can communicate with my wife on a different level. So just being that presence and that communicator for me.
Okay, I really like that. And I didn't mean to burst out laughing when you talked, because you were not saying anything that was like funny, but the comments did. So that's why my face did not match their very nice response. Somebody said, ain't nobody gonna mention sex. So I'm sorry. Sorry.
Look, see, and let me address that directly for just a second here. Because see, love is way more than that. Sex is just one aspect. And sex can last for maybe up to 3 hours max. But love lasts forever. And this is what we're here to talk about. Love and communication, marriage, stability, oneness. Sex does not fall into that.
Okay,
that's
so
just one aspect.
Okay, so this is my question then, okay? As men, if you got married and the woman said, nah, I don't really put a lot of emphasis on sex, how many of you are still getting married? Raise your hands. And you can use your hand emoji. Okay, so one guy would be willing to take a sexless marriage. Okay. Anyone else? Oh,
Not sexless, but not. It wouldn't be the driving factor.
okay. I'm so sorry. Let me say it really bluntly. If you knew you were getting zero sex in a relationship, how many of you would sign up for it? Okay, I don't see any hands going up.
I'm a woman. I'm not signing up.
Look, tell the truth, shame the devil. I'm saying. I clutched my pearls without realizing it. I was like.
I agree with what Michael said. It doesn't have to be the driving force behind it, because I've always been the type of person that's like, look, I want to get to know you. You know what I'm saying? I want to explore other areas of you. Then we can build into it. That's how the relationship grows, at least for me. In my point of view, I'm sure all of you guys have different takes, but for me, it's always been like, look, I want to build and get to know you right here and right here before we go down low.
So the reason why, and I appreciate that, and this is why context is everything. By the way, guys, I have to do the interruption. Everyone who's watching, please go ahead and tap that like button. If you are watching on, I really was clutching my pearls. If you guys are watching on your cell phone, you're going to have to actually minimize or get out of the chat window and then click the like and then come back in. But that's the only way the AI of YouTube knows you like this. So if you do like it, please go ahead. Thank you. I see the likes going up. Please go ahead and like that. And for those of you on Instagram, will you please come over to YouTube? One, it's way prettier than this ugly green screen. And two, it helps me on YouTube because all 10 of you who are watching over here are not counting towards the 10 that could be over there. Okay, so if you guys wouldn't mind going over there, it'd be so amazing. Plus, you can come on camera. Okay. All right. So the reason why I wanted to bring up sex is because even though it's not, no one would really call it a role, it definitely is a problem when it's not happening. So I think that it would be very important to add that to the list. And I would say traditionally, and not to say that this is a fact, it just means this is what gets talked about because a lot goes behind closed doors. But traditionally, would you say you typically hear more men complaining about not getting enough? Would you say that's a fair statement? You tend to hear more men. Okay, someone said from the chest. That's a fact.
Yes.
Okay, I don't hear a lot of women sitting around like, he won't break me off. You don't hear that often. Okay. So far.
I am going to say on the other side, it's not so much that we won't say that he won't do it. It's just not the way we want it.
Thank you for saying that. Okay, thank you for saying that.
Not that it's not happening, but it's like if it's going to suck, I don't know if I want to do that.
Wait.
And that's the conversation I feel that women have with other women.
Yes, and you know why? Because it is so. If you really genuinely care about your partner, that is a super hard conversation to have because a lot of men, to a certain extent, maybe not their entire ego, but a lot of their ego is tied to that. And for you to say it's not working or this isn't good doesn't always go over very well. You have those men that are interested in making sure that it's great until they want to try. But then you have those men that'll straight up be like, oh, well, this is what I know how to do, and you're just going to have to take it. Like, oh, okay.
So I think that...
Talking about marriage or dating, because let's face it, most people take things on a test drive, right? So let's say when you first met that man or woman, it was wonderful. You got married, but 10 years, somebody has an illness or an ailment. Depending on if you've looked at your marriage as what I can do for her or what she can do for him, that could be a deal breaker. Sex, finances, all those things. So I don't want to go too far in too much depth, but are we talking about you're married? Or are we talking about dating?
Well, see, I think the difference is like with women.
And I'm so sorry. Before you answer, love, for the discussion, I only want to talk about roles when they're married. Okay, so go ahead and answer, but just so you know, we're talking, this whole night is about marriage. Yes.
Marriage. Okay. I think that sometimes women will overlook things in dating because we have a tendency to look at different things. So you could be a great provider, protector. You could have the great moral compass. You could have great foundation in your faith, and then the sex isn't all that great, and we'll just be like, yeah, well, all these other things over here outweigh that one thing. But of course, 15 years in, it gets harder to maybe overlook hormonal issues, children, work. So these other things start to come into play that maybe were not into play during your dating time that already are going to pull on your sexual drive. And then on top of that, you finally kind of have a night off from the kids, don't, have to do work or what have you. And then it kind of isn't what you want. That can kind of make you just decide not to do it when you have the time to do it.
And that's so true. I mean, for me, I'll be honest and blunt. I've been married twice. And in the beginning, of course, it's exciting, new to people, it's going down. But then as time goes on, both people get comfortable. They get comfortable. Nobody's trying to do the most to secure each other anymore. And for a man can still just get it in. But I believe for a woman, a lot of other things are going on. Whatever is going on outside of the home can weigh on her. Things that's going on with the man not, doing as much as he used to do to make her feel secure goes into it. A whole lot of things go together. And then I believe, since I'm not a woman, for her emotional and sexual standpoint, it's probably not, as thrilling. And for a man, they say, you gotta, rebuild the flame, do something to build up the flame again. And when it comes to that, after that, it's pretty hard at that point. And by then, I mean, the sex life has done dropped like a horrible stock at that point. So these things happen.
So I want to jump back in, you guys. Sorry, there was someone that I really wanted to be on this, and he didn't receive the email, so I had to be distracted a little bit. I appreciate you guys, one, carrying the conversation. But what I want to do, too, is kind of reel it back in because we're going to get into this stuff more detailed. And so I think we can all agree that sex is a big deal. And when it comes to either of the two, probably the guy is going to hurt the most when they're not having it. Is that a fair enough statement to say?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so women want it too, but typically we've seen women kind of just mentally tap out and we just kind of deal with it. Okay, so I want to say that. I also want to give a huge shout out to Philly Mike. We have the biggest, what is this called? Super chat yet. Thank you so much for the $50 super chat. Really appreciate it. That huge, huge, huge. For somebody who does this, just volunteer. So thank you so much. And then let's see, Dopest Daddy, who's coming on. Let me know if you got the information or not. I'll see if he can come on. Okay, so the reason why, welcome. Thank you for joining in, Mike, on camera. So the reason why I wanted to outline this is because I wanted to see what the contrast was. So for the woman, her role is primarily bringing the energy. Okay, yay, he's able to come. Okay. So for the woman, we've seen that she's bringing the energy. She's adding healing. She is nurturing. She is keeping the peace. She is encouraging. She's kind of putting that emotional fuel in the tank of the family. If it's just the husband, the husband. She is taking care of the home, which includes cooking meals. She is helping children with homework if there are children. She is creating a safe space where feelings can be discussed and there could be communication. I thought there was one more, but that was it. That was the woman's role. So is everyone pretty much okay with that description that we have come up with together?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so those of you watching on YouTube, or Instagram, please jump over to YouTube. I appreciate it. And to everybody who hit like, thank you. But we got a whole new group of people. About 10 more of you started watching. If you're enjoying this, please hit the like button because it lets YouTube know that you guys are enjoying the show. And if you're on a cell phone, you're gonna have to close the chat window so that you could see the option to even click like. So if you could do that, it really, 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 really helps me a lot. Okay, so thank you. All right, so now we're going to get into a little bit of a little touchier subject. We're going to talk about the feminist movement. Okay, we all know the feminist movement. I'm sure really there was big changes in the 60s. A lot of women went from being these traditional, playing these traditional roles to moving out into the workplace. Okay, so who would like to answer? Actually, we'll just do a really quick vote. You're going to say help or hurt. When it comes to the overall family dynamic, do you think that the feminist movement helped or hurt? We'll just do one word and then we'll let people expound on it who want to expound. Welcome to the show, sir. All right, so Paul Arthur, you could start, and we're going to go in order. I don't know if you guys can see the same order as I see, but it's going to go Paul, then Michael, Brian, then Chanel, then Howard, then Jason, then Mr. Perez, since there's 2 mics on there, and then we have Dopest Daddy. Okay, and whatever you want to be referred to, you can change your name if you want, or I'm going to keep calling you Dopest Daddy. I know him from Instagram, but I don't know his first name. Okay, so Paul Arthur, quick yes or no, help or hurt, feminist movement, help or hurt, family dynamic?
Hurt.
All right, Michael, help or hurt?
Hurt.
I got another hurt. Brian, help or hurt? Uh-oh, you're muted, love. Are you voting?
You're not talking to me, right?
No.
Oh, so both you named Brian. Okay, that's why. The first Brian. Are you voting help or hurt as far as the feminist movement and the family dynamic?
I'll break it down, but I'm going to say help.
Okay. And I'm actually not surprised considering what you said about your background. Okay, I almost did it again. You know what it is? I think because my brain wants symmetry, I see women and I just go straight to the men. I don't know why, Chanel. I see you just sitting there sweetly and I'm like, bloop, go to Howard. What? I don't know what's going on. Okay, go ahead, Chanel. Help or hurt?
I'm going to say, I think I'm more like Brian, where it's kind of like, I'm a little torn, but I'm going to lean more towards hurt,
okay,
but not by much.
And just remember, guys, this is not saying, is the entire movement bad? We're saying, did it help the family or did it hurt the family dynamic? Okay, just for clarification. So, Howard, are you going help or hurt?
I'm going to go more for hurt, but I'm almost leaning to the point of help because there's a lot of things that the women's movement actually did.
Okay.
You know, they got to vote and all that.
Okay.
But it's all the other stuff with it that it's...
but did you feel like the voting helped the family dynamic specifically?
Yeah, it would have. Yeah.
Okay.
Because when I kind of lived a sheltered life where you're on a farm and you can't go to town, you just go to school and come home. And then TV was so different back then, you know. So, yeah. So that's kind of where I was going. And then when I was trucking, I was busy trucking. That's where my brain was. It was who cared about everything else, right? So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Okay, Jason, we're going to go to you. Jason, Mike, and then is it Brian? Do you want to be called Brian or Dopest Daddy? Oh, you're muted, love. Sorry.
My name is Lamont.
I was like, when I said Brian, though, it's not like you said, are you speaking to me? That's why I was like, wait, maybe his name's Brian too. Okay, so if it's okay, can I put Lamont on your screen so I remember?
That's fine.
Okay, perfect. All right, so go ahead, Jason. Are you voting hurt or help?
Hurt.
All right. And then we have Mike.
If we are defining it by what is done to the relationship, there's a different, dynamics, like someone mentioned career. If we're talking about relationship where we don't need a man anymore, then I would say hurt.
Okay. All right, and then we're going to close up with Lamont. Hopefully I spelled your name correctly.
Hurt.
Okay. All right, so since we have two, thank you for voting, Travis. And you guys feel free to vote in the comments. We have, let's see, I'm scrolling. I think I went too far. So we have one helped, one hurt, another hurt, another hurt. So far we're very much in the majority on hurt. Those who thought it helped the family dynamic. Brian was first, and then Chanel. I would like you guys to share, and then Howard, I want you to give your explanation as well too. So the three of you who are actually in the center, please tell me how you feel the feminist movement helped the family dynamic.
Well, for me, I would say, I think that, so initially, so for me growing up, my mom stayed home with both me and my little brother, at least for the first couple of years. My mother has a master's degree in, education. But for someone who has that much ambition to get a degree, sitting in a house and kind of dealing with, 2 and 4-year-olds is not going to be that stimulating. It also kind of pushed me to see what I can do. And of course, my dad did encourage that. You see, of course, income, that's a help for the family. But for me, like I said, it's just barely a help. I think that all of it's not a help. There's definitely some things that happen to kind of break up the family dynamic. We can go into way more than the feminist movement, breaking up the family dynamic depending on your background, especially in the African American community, but we're not going to go that deep. But I do think that based on some of those things, if women had not been able to go into the workforce, I do think as a community, we would have probably been a lot worse off than we ended up being, especially with the high incarceration rates of African Americans and people of color. Who were these men that were going to be able to help when they were not physically, literally able to be around? So that's why I say it helped to a certain degree, but it's just barely on the side of help.
Okay. And I have a question too for this. I'm actually going to switch it up. Here's my question. So what I've heard so far that was positive that came out of the feminist movement is that it stimulates women. It opens up their how would you say it? I'm trying to think of how to.
It gives them their potential. There are a lot of women, back in the day, a lot of people don't realize the vast majority of these housewives had degrees. Like, they weren't just sitting in a house being bums. Like,
right,
they went to college. They had bachelor's degrees, but they didn't really use them, or they used them for a short amount of time and then became a housewife.
So this is my question specifically, and I'm going to sound like I'm being anal, but it's intentional. How did a woman feeling like she had more career options help the family unit, help the family dynamic? Is that something that you think the family, because I see how it helped the woman as an individual, but how I'm struggling to see where it helped the family dynamic improve.
So of course, if you have 2 incomes, you have more options.
Oh, you're saying because it made them go out into the workforce and then get the job.
Right.
Okay,
that's the part that I'm speaking on, is that if you have more income, you have more options.
I got you.
And then again, this is another thing that I feel like the feminist movement didn't have anything to do with this specifically, and this is kind of to Brian's point. African American women always worked. That's not anything new.
Yes.
Like, let's stop pretending like we weren't always working. When we speak on housewives, we're not talking about us. Like, that was not the reality for the majority of African American women. They always worked. Now, it might have been a part-time job, or it might have been a weekend job, but there was always work in that. Both my grandmothers worked. I'm fortunate enough to hear stories of my great-great-grandparents, and they worked. So that's why I always am a little leery of the feminist movement, specifically as it pertains to Black women, because we were always working.
Okay, so this leads me to, and I promise I will get to you, Brian, if you have something you would like to contribute. If you do, give me a thumbs up if you have something you want to add, because I want to, he said 2 thumbs up. So this is my question. The feminist movement, and y'all are really awesome so far tonight, by the way. Obviously, it's my subjective opinion. But the feminist movement, was it just about getting women an opportunity to work? Because as Chanel brought up, we've been doing that. They were doing that in Bible times. People were doing trade. So did the feminist movement, do they get credit for introducing the idea of a partner working? Is that really unique to the feminist movement?
I wouldn't say so. I think that the feminist movement did open up other doors as far as how far you could go while working. I mean, so this is kind of weird. I mean, it's not weird, but it's kind of like, fantasy. But if you look at like shows like Made Men, they were working, but they were limited to certain roles.
Okay.
So the feminist movement may have opened up additional roles. But like if you had somebody who like, I think it was Howard. He said that he grew up on a farm. I'm 100% positive his mom probably assisted on the farm. Like, that's just how it worked. Now there might have been certain things she did not do, but I don't think the feminist movement necessarily made it so that your partner could work or a woman could work. It just opened up additional avenues in different areas in which she could work, and that was accepted.
Okay. I appreciate that. Brian has been so patient. What would you like to contribute regarding what made the feminist movement help the family? And keep in mind that we have uncovered that it did not introduce women working. That was not a new thing.
So we can use the current political stance that's going on in Washington, with the first Black woman being nominated to the Supreme Court. Without movement now of color, right? Because what's her name? RBG. She was, I believe, the first or one of the first. So I think what we first need to identify is, are we talking about, when it comes to progression, people of color, women, and then the LGBTQ plus 10 movement? Those are all different things and falling into different lines. However, what I would say is we can't paint it as a broad brush.
Okay.
So the feminine movement in 2022 is hurting the home. Okay.
And how do you think that okay, so let's deal with just women, period. We're not going to go to sexuality because we're talking about feminism as it relates to the family unit. So what do you think the push was? What happened in the 60s is what I'm referring to. So what happened in the 60s? How do you think that aided the family unit? If you could just share with me that specific.
It gave promise to our daughters and our granddaughters.
And
to the future.
Mm-hmm. And you felt like they didn't have that promise before?
No.
Okay.
Not as much. Like, that ushered in true change for women.
So,
regardless of the stance of where a man and a woman sit in the traditional household of America, that ushered in change, which I think we can all agree is fair. Like, there's equal pay. There should be these equal things that a woman can bring into the household as well. Because guess what? Some women are stronger providers.
Okay, so here's my question then. And this is why I keep harping really hard on helping the family unit. Mm-hmm. So if a woman feels that she has more options and she can go out and do her thing, is that helping the family where the man is already providing?
No.
Okay.
Not hurt.
What's that?
Actually, no, it doesn't hurt. Actually, I would welcome it, because as a unit, it's not just about me or what I think, even if I'm the primary breadwinner, right?
I'm sorry. I was saying, does it help? If the man is providing all the
I'm
bills.
saying it,
No.
help.
I'm sorry. There's feedback. Let me state the question to make sure it's really, really clear, because it's easy for this to like go one degree and then totally go somewhere else. So I want to find out if it's helping the family. Is it strengthening the family, making their bond greater? Is it helping the family? And the family unit is not a single person. It's the whole unit. So as a unit, is the unit strengthened by a woman having more career options if her husband is already able to pay the bills?
Yes.
Okay, so how does that help if she has more career options if her husband is already paying the bills? And this is where my question comes in. If his income is covering the bills, and we've discussed that her role is to be the homemaker, cooking meals, helping the children with the homework, driving the kids to whatever practice, whatever. If that is her role, do you not think that it would suffer if she was removed from the home and then put into the workplace? That's my question when you say it helps.
And based on my own life, my own personal experience, I say no, because I do those things as well. I have 3 children. So my daughter's there. I've, sent them to school. I've kissed boo-boos. I've done all those things as well as be the primary breadwinner.
Okay, but this is the difference, and I'll move on from this because I don't want to feel like I'm going in on you. There's a difference between being capable, like I'm capable of throwing away the trash, but if I never touched a trash bag in my life, I'd be okay with that. There's a difference between having to do it all and a situation being better. So we'll come back to this because this is really something that I want to be able to unpack. You guys, thank you for your patience in this segment. I promise that we are going to really make some moves in this discussion. Before we move forward, did anyone want to add anything? If you could keep it like 30 seconds or less, though, because we have a lot to unpack. Did anybody have anything they wanted to talk about specifically with the feminist movement, and whether or not it added to the strength the family unit? Yes, Howard.
I mean,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Lamont, for a second.
I was about to say I completely disagree. I think even though it's brought along some good aspects, I think the bad aspects were far outweigh the good aspects when it comes to like. I'm talking about the Black community specifically. So let's talk about promiscuity and the idea of women controlling access to sex, right? They always have, but then once women felt like they got that freedom to not be judged or whatever, our marriage rate went down drastically, right? We're not starting families because men are not required to marry women. They're not required to do any of that anymore because we can just have sex with them. So when we can having a kid is a big thing, but I can have a kid right now there's no barrier to entry at all. So I think that drastically, as far as in the Black community, hurt our relationship dynamic and our marriages. So that's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you. And Howard, you were going to add something?
I was going to say that it probably gives the kids a sense that mom has an opinion, mom's value because she's bringing income and not just relying on the dad. It would also provide maybe more, let's say, for holidays and different events in schools. Because we go back further than the 60s, the 40s, right? During World War, the men went to war and the women went to the factories.
Mm-hmm.
So it really kind of, maybe at that point, it started to shift. And I'm not sure what year the women got to vote, but you can go back to Jesus' time when he actually stood up for the women. So it's kind of it's scary. Why are we so ancient yet? Like we haven't evolved. We keep going back to garbage and hurting people,
Yeah. And I think this is really important to say. And I think it's good. This is a good position to explain because I like to ask questions. I like to get information out. And I want to make sure it's clear my position at this point. I am not an advocate for caveman days. I'm not an advocate for women shutting up, being quiet, and just having babies. What I do believe in is prioritizing the family over everything. So if there's a situation in which the man is not able to do it, I think it's silly for the woman to be like, well, that's not my role. That would be silly. Or if the wife somehow becomes incapacitated and the little kid needs the boo-boo kissed, well, sorry, that's not my role. I'm over here watching ESPN. I don't believe in rigidity. To me, the rigidity falls under wounded masculine energy. And by the way, this is going to all be broken down in granular detail in my next course, which compares wounded masculine energy, wounded feminine energy, and divine masculine and divine feminine. A lot of times when we herald the proponents or the different factors of the family unit, or the pros of the family unit rather, a lot of times the arguments come with examples of wounded masculine and wounded feminine. So if the idea is, and Howard mentioned, maybe it makes the mom look like she has value. Respectfully, I actually feel like it's scary if we tie value to money, because I think society does that a lot. And I believe this is why so many women are feeling like I'm only important if I have money. Now, whose responsibility is it to make her feel like she's just as valuable? I would actually say that falls on the men. Because if I am a business owner and I have employees, and these employees are the ones who come in the morning, turn the lights on, deal with the customers I don't want to deal with, and I'm just the person, I'm not saying just, but I'm just the person who, I keep putting money in, I'm making sure everything's running smoothly, I'm never going to make them feel like they are totally replaceable, they're not doing anything. It's my job as a leader to let them know, my God, I could not do this without you. Yes, I have my role, but you guys have your role. And so I want to be careful in this discussion that we don't swing the pendulum all the way to another side just because some people have had a perverted view of that. And that's why I thought it was so key that Chanel was bringing up the fact that this ain't new, women working. Like, women pulled their weight a lot, even if they were selling cookies or they were, knitting blankets and things like that, whatever they had to do to contribute to the family, they were doing it. My concern is when the career becomes idolized to the point where your role is being neglected. Does that make sense, you guys? So if my job, my role, my most important role in the family is to be there for the children, make sure the house is running smoothly, be there for the kids, and suddenly I am choosing to go do a career because it strokes my ego, that's where I see a little concern. I'm going to open this up for like the next 10 minutes. Whoever would like to share, because I just said a mouthful, whoever would like to contribute to this will go for the next 10 minutes.
I have a great example. Like, for example, with me growing up. So my parents were married for 35 years till my mom passed away in 2003. They had a very traditional marriage. And my dad went to work. My mom was at home. There was 6 of us at home, 5 being boys. My mom's role was probably the most important role in the whole thing. I mean, my mom managed the money, paid all the bills. She cooked. When it came to cleaning, she put us boys to it. So she didn't have to clean as much as it would be made out to be.
Smart woman to delegate, by the way. I'm barely learning that.
She held the peace. She held the peace for my dad, who was a very masculine man. Well, he's still around. But there's like no way that they would have been able to last. Our family would have broken apart if my mom took the option to go work. And after my dad retired, she did go and work. But during that time, there's no way. Their roles was so vitally equal in importance. I would believe my mom's role was more important to everything, especially because she was I don't know. She was a disciplinarian, masculine to us boys, but extremely feminine to my dad.
Aww.
And those type of things would have been all off center if she would have went out into the workforce, or if she would have, I don't know, grew some type of, I don't know what to call it, but some type of thinking that, you know, okay, I'm better than you, or I'm the lead now, or any type of mindset like that, which is part of the problem that happened with the feminist movement, is the whole mindset and how a woman has started thinking about a man and then vice versa. But in, yeah, my household growing up, I mean, there was no way that they would have lasted 35 years in this day and age.
Thank you so much. And you're getting into our next topic, which is the mindset, which is huge. So thank you for bringing that up. Is there anyone else who would like to contribute before we move on to the next part of this discussion?
I'd like to add that if the man has a calling to be a prophet, priest, and king, and he's not able to execute that, then something in that man's spirit grieves. If he cannot do any of those options, if he cannot govern the home, something in him starts to die. If he cannot go before God and say, I want us to go to church together and hear from God, something in that man's spirit starts to die. It grieves him. If he says, I believe we're supposed to do such and such, and she says, well, I'm not going to follow, and it is something that is legit and not made up, you know, a good, wise direction, then something in that man's spirit dies. It grieves because he still longs to want to lead, and because of a sociological perspective, he cannot lead.
Y'all are an all-star panel. I'm gonna be upset next week if you guys don't come back. I just made an impromptu decision right now while you were speaking, sir. Thank you for that. I cannot believe it's already been an hour. What I'm going to do, because normally these group chats are reserved for the first of the month, we literally got to like 2 questions on a list of 10. So I'm going to make this a 4-part series because I think it's going to take that long to really, really unpack this. I think we got a lot accomplished on this call, and the impulsive part of me would so keep going for like 4 hours. But I want to be respectful of the people's time who it's on the East Coast. So that's what, 9 o'clock for you guys there. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to put a pin right in here. But for those of you watching, I want to unpack the mindset. I believe that was Jason who said that. I want to unpack the mindset of the modern woman and how it has changed over time as a result, a direct result of the women coming into the career. What is it? The marketplace? Not the marketplace. What am I thinking of? Is it marketplace? Why does that word sound weird? Coming to the workforce. That's what I was trying to say. I'm like, marketplace. She's not shopping. Okay. And the workforce. I
was thinking dating marketplace.
That's probably it. Meet market something. Yeah.
because it does affect that as well.
So we're going to get into that. Today we unpacked what the gender roles were. For those of you who came a little later, we unpacked gender roles. We talked about whether or not we think that the feminist movement specifically helped or hurt the family dynamic. And then we're going to get into mindset today. Next week, the mindset of the women today, whether or not has become a power struggle when it comes to that top spot, that leadership position. I want to unpack whether or not the person who makes more money should have that top spot, that decision-making authority. I want to talk about, because we all would agree, I think, that relationships have declined a lot over the years. We could see the statistics that marriage rates have declined. So I want to see what we feel modern men have done to contribute to that. and what have modern women done to contribute to that. Then we're going to transition over to contrasting dating relationships with marital relationships. So what's the difference between being a boyfriend and being a husband, being a girlfriend and being a wife? And then finally, you find yourself in this marriage union, and according to you, in your estimation, you're doing your 50%. I say 50%. There are 50% job duties and another 50%. I'm not saying effort, okay? So job duties. You feel like you're bringing your 50% of the job duties, and you don't feel like your partner is bringing their half of the job duties. What do we do then? Okay? So make sure you guys tune in to the other shows that we're going to be doing. All of you guys are welcome to come back, because everybody here has had a lot of really good stuff to say, really helpful. But I feel like we haven't had a chance to really just kind of freestyle share. So what I'm going to do, aside from getting into the stuff that I'm saying we're going to talk about, because I want to save those gems, but based on what we have talked about up until now, those who would like to stay on, we'll do a few more minutes. Those who need to leave can tap out. But I want to give you guys a chance to share, because we had so much to talk about. You guys each of you didn't really get a chance to unpack. So I will do, this is what I'll do. I'll just give everyone the spotlight for like a good 2-3 minutes. So if you guys could just all honor each other's time. We'll start with Lamont. Then we'll go to Mike. Then we'll go to Jason. Then Howard. We'll not forget my girl this time, Chanel. Then we have Brian. Then we'll do Michael. And we'll close with Paul Arthur. Is that fair? All right. So you have the mic, Lamont.
I'd rather not start.
Then please allow me to have the pleasure.
So we'll switch, and I was being strategic by doing that, but we'll switch. Okay, so Paul Arthur, you'll go first, then everyone else will go in the same order, okay?
Yeah, okay, so
okay.
I'd keep this short and simple.
Yes, I'm gonna put my little timer on so I can be fair. All right. Let's see. Oh, you could start. It'll be literally 2-3 minutes, but
okay, great.
Just to give me an idea.
All right, so just me personally, single guy, no kids, never been married, don't have that experience whatsoever. Just in the dating force, so to speak. I work hard, I handle my business. My experience growing up, my parents were married, had 3 kids, nice home. From what I remember in my childhood, life was good. But then my mother left. And my father was the one that became not only the masculine energy, but also he was the nurturer, because he was raising 3 kids by himself for X amount of years. And then he got married again, and they were married for 20 plus years. And then she divorced again. So from what I've seen in my life experience, my father was always about respect. When you talk to people, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, all those different things. And he worked hard, and he kept his house, and something that I've told women, and because see, for me, when I look at how we define traditional gender roles and everything like that, a lot of what we say, everybody can do, because see, for me, I know how to cook. I know how to clean the house, because guess what? My father did these things. Growing up, we cleaned the house every weekend. We cooked our own meals every Friday and Saturday, and so forth and so on. We did these things. That's how you maintain a house. So for me, cooking and cleaning, those aren't gender roles. Those are life skills. Because guess what? When you're single and you're doing your own thing by yourself, who's going to cook and clean? Outside of you going out to eat somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I don't really look at gender roles as just it's like, for me, it's more so who is strong in what. Mm-hmm. And we can, and if you're not strong in certain things, then the other person can be like, okay, we'll work on that. See, for me, and somebody asked me this on TikTok, and I stitched this. I said, the question was, would you marry someone that doesn't know how to cook? And I said, I wouldn't mind it, because guess what? I know how to cook. So I can teach my wife to be like, okay, just do this, something. Just keep it simple, because that creates quality time. And I think that's a love language, if I'm not mistaken. So building that relationship for me is, paramount to me, because I want to be in your company. So I know how to create and do different things with what I was taught and what I learned from my father. So.
No, I appreciate that. You actually had a little extra couple seconds to spare, but thank you. And I love what you said. And this is a sneak peek at some of the course. Divine energy is flexible. Wounded energy is rigid. So if he sees that she doesn't do cooking and he can do cooking, he can find equilibrium and it's not going to be the end of the world. Okay, so just give you a little teaser there. All right, we're going to switch over. Thank you, Paul Arthur. We're going to switch over to Mr. Perez. What would you like to share? I'm going to put your 3 minutes on the clock.
I will take much less than that. I will just put out a little teaser there. I believe that all people have a spiritual DNA that they have to tap into and understand in order to be the best partner they can in the relationship. And I believe that when there are wounds that come about, when men get wounded by a woman, they have honor wounds. And when women are wounded by men, they have intimacy wounds. And grace is something that is the necessary element to provide healing to those wounds. And men provide a protective grace, and women provide a healing grace. And that's what I will close with.
I don't know if everyone understood the depths of the gem that you dropped, sir, but I feel like I just need a second to let it sit. Yeah, this is intense stuff, you guys, and I have such a burden to teach what I have seen thus far, and I am in total agreement with what you have to say, and I don't pretend to be an expert by any means on, this particular topic, but from what I have seen and personally experimented with, it is profound, which is why I think the word divine is so accurately picked to describe it. But seriously, I think that's phenomenal what you just described. And I'm just adjusting for the person who just joined in. Hey, Darren. We are just closing up, sir, but I wanted to let you come in. Okay, so let's see. I was actually making a little note because I really like the way you phrase it. All right, we are going to go to Jason next. Jason, your 3 minutes are on the clock. And go ahead. Oh, you're going to have to hit the unmute button, sir. All right, we'll see. Jason is probably trying to figure out the mute. So when you get a chance, Jason, if you can hear us, I'll let you go after Howard. Howard, your 3 minutes are on the clock.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, perfect.
I didn't see it, so I pushed the button. Okay, so for what I did say about how my parents were, for me, I'm like completely different. For me, I believe in gender roles, but I agree with what the other guy said, where, I mean, once I've lived by myself, early in my life, for all the things that I've learned, I didn't take a break from it when I got married or in a relationship. I kept doing them. So my philosophy now is that all jobs are something that I can do. And I don't think of anything as something that, is her job and this is my job. Some things are like my job as a man because I know that, a woman would not, want to do them. But for all things in my mindset, I feel like it's my duty. Because if I ever got into it's your duty, then it's going to be a problem. So like for me, I mean, I'm weird in a sense to where two of my favorite things to do is dishes and laundry. I like doing all the laundry and all the dishes. I don't even want to use a machine. I like doing it old school by hand. and I just believe that it's just better to not have these split gender roles, traditional roles, because with the way things are, who knows who's tired, who's not tired. The bottom line is getting everything done. Getting all the bills paid, making sure all of it's done, everything in the house is done, and not being able to say, well, it's your job. It's more in everything done.
You're not. I'm saying okay, but you still have 45 seconds on the clock. If you had anything else you want to share.
Oh no, that's just my baseline philosophy personally for me, and probably the best way to do things these days is to not have this hardwired sense of your job, my job, the old days, you're a woman, you're a man, but more off like everybody feeling like 100 instead of 50-50. It's truly 100.
Okay, so I have a question for you. If your wife said, I love that you enjoy cleaning and cooking, I'm just making this list. Love cooking and cleaning and laundry, and I love that your job pays all the bills. If she said, I'd rather just take like a year off and not work, can you just hold down everything? Would you be okay with that?
Well, for one, I'm single.
No, we're talking hypothetical.
In a hypothetical situation, if I had it, I also want to mention that the reason why I have this philosophy is because the most important thing to me is her being peaceful, her having inner peace and less stress, because that does me more good than any cleaning or cooking or anything that she can do. Her inner peace and bringing peace into that house and her not being stressed means more to me than anything. So if there was a situation like that and I had the money to do it, and for her to go off and do something that she enjoys that would give her happiness and peace to make it more peaceful with her interaction with me, of course.
So is it safe to say that you subscribe to the happy wife, happy life staying?
No. It's more about peace. Like that's peaceful for me. So I mean, if I was able to do it all, and in exchange that she doesn't have to be in this world and have to take on the mindset of a man and the stress in the workforce, in the work world.
Oh, you're talking about career, like financial provision.
Well, if I was able to do that in exchange and do everything and have her be able to take time off in order, I would make that trade in a second if that makes her less stressed by the workforce, a boss, the world, and all that stuff, and to have a peaceful home.
But I'm so sorry, love. This is where I'm lost, and then we'll move on to the next person. You're saying that you're willing to provide financially, do the household duties, essentially just let her seek her bliss? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not when it gets to the point of if I'm getting taken advantage of.
Okay, because I was like, huh? All right, so we'll leave that. I just want to make sense, because that was a really big statement when you said I'll do everything as long as she's, Okay, so we'll say it, because I'm gonna be tempted to keep going. Like I said, we'll be on this 3-hour thing. Okay, so we'll go to the order moved around. So I think Chanel's next, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry if I went out of order. All right, love, you got 3 minutes on the clock.
I guess for me, the biggest thing is speaking from a more, I guess, modern woman. I think one of the things that I kind of see swirling around, especially on social media, is kind of the war of the sexes, which is actually kind of odd, because when you get women by themselves and men by themselves, they really are asking for the same things or want the same things. So I guess it's just, hoping that a lot of men and women don't get kind of caught up in that. if you kind of step outside of that bubble, you realize that there's kind of a small minority pushing a very specific agenda.
It just cut out. It just muted, babe. It muted. Can't hear.
Yeah, it's very profitable for it to continue to go in that direction. But the reality of it is, when you talk to a lot of different people, they want the same things. I would say that there are some aspects, like you said, of feminist movement that have hurt the family. But there are also some aspects, like, you know, we hear, oh, I can cook, I can clean, I don't really need a woman for that, as if that's kind of like the only thing that they do. So I would just like kind of, in my opinion, you know, implore everybody to kind of really sit back, and it's okay to partake in some of these conversations, or it's okay to partake in some of the information, but to kind of filter it through your upbringing, through your background, to see if that really fits what you're looking for. Kind of to like Paul Arthur, I think that's his name. I'm sorry if it's wrong. But for me, I grew up with my dad. So, of course, I saw, you know, my dad washing clothes, cooking, you know, everything. But he also worked 2 jobs, and he also was a reservist, and he also did all those things. But he still, when he got remarried, he was seeking a woman that could assist with the nurturing of his children. So, yes, my dad, of course, paid all the bills and washed the clothes and kissed our boo-boos and took us to the doctor and da-da-da. But he didn't think that that should just be something that would be replaced by him. So I think, like, in seeing that, I don't think that any one role can truly be replaced. It can be mimicked. It can be done at a great level, per se, but not necessarily just replaced. So That's my little 10 cents.
No, I appreciate you guys. I love hearing everyone's take. I feel like together we really can learn from one another. So thank you, love. Brian, you're next, and then Michael.
So first and foremost, thank you, Yancy, for all your hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, and bringing this all together. Thank the panel. I've gotten a nugget of truth from everybody on the panel. Where I would just simply leave things is the Creator didn't leave us to be islands unto ourselves. Okay.
So sorry, it cut out. The Creator didn't leave us to be.
The Creator didn't leave us to be islands unto ourselves.
Okay.
Meaning we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think most men and women on the call have thrown out that it's not really what role that you do. When you get to a point of marriage, and I was reminded of this a couple of days ago with a brother that I was reading and paying attention to, is that it's about what I as a man can do for her, not how she's going to align with me, how she's looking. Does your bank account match mine? Does your swag match? What can I do for you? And then in turn, I would hope that my mate or my significant other would look at me and say, what does this man need from me? And move accordingly. Like, don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave you there. I'm looking for part 2, 3, 4. We can take it to a 6th part, but God bless all y'all.
Thank you so much. I love what you said. He's describing something divine where we're trying to work together in that harmony. Beautiful. And I said it before, you guys, don't feel pressure, because I know it's weird just like tapping out, but it's late. If it's late for you and you have to tap out, you could just say goodbye in the chat. But otherwise, if you want to stay on, feel free to. Okay, Michael. Thank you, Brian. Michael, you have your 3 minutes, sir.
Okay. I would first say, everybody that's on this call, please donate to this beautiful platform. For me, compromise is key. I believe that in today's time, people get into relationships as the great business connection, the great business vibe, as they want to call it. And it's no longer about the spirit of compromise between two individually minded people who came into a relationship as themselves to complement another spirit, another human being to be the best that they can be for each other, and then to enhance that relationship with each other with a covering from a higher being. And if we keep the Most High, if we keep God as the forefront of all that it is that we do with a spirit of selflessness, then you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. But everybody's chasing, again, the lips, hips, and fingertips. They're chasing the trips. They're chasing the vibe. They're chasing specific energy. But at the end of the day, who is it that you're laying next to? Who is it that you're obtaining to try to be like versus who you're trying to change? We are complements of each other. And if you know your assignment and you know the lane that you're supposed to be in, both people can't get in the car and get behind the same steering wheel. Somebody has to at times get in the passenger seat and navigate, pull out the map. Somebody then has to get in the driver's seat and actually steer. And if you get off the lane, then you do what is needed purposely to get back into the proper lane in the direction that's needed. So for me, everything is about selflessness, compromise, and there's no such thing as bringing 50% of yourself to the table. 100% of self, understanding that at any given point of time, because of where we are mentally, emotionally, and physically, those percentages will drop from 100. But if you only obtain to come to the table with 50, you'll never make it to 100. You should obtain to start your day with 100% of yourself and then let that dwindle down to be the best that you can be at all times.
And class dismissed. Here, sir. That was 3 seconds to spare. That was perfect. I agree with every single thing you said, 100%. Even if your role is 50% of the equation, you got to bring that 100% of the energy to your 50% of the equation. We're going to have Howard go, and then Darren, if you would like to join in. I think you've probably been around enough to add something if you'd like. All right, Howard, you got your 3 minutes on the clock. Oh, I'm forgetting we have Lamont. So we'll let actually Darren go and then Lamont.
Boy, with all these guys, it's great advice. It's really making me think because come September, my middle boy is going to get married. So the advice that I can give them, right? And yeah, as a dad, to how to love their wife and how to love each other and stuff. And yeah, I mean, great advice. Thank you, Yancy, for tonight. And looking forward to more of the conversation. So
Yay.
Somebody else could have my extra 2 minutes.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much, Howard. Y'all see why he's one of my favorites. Okay, so we have Lamont next and then Darren. I'm sorry, we have Darren and then Lamont. We're going to close out with Lamont. Darren, did you have anything you wanted to add in? I know you caught the end of the conversation.
No, I'm just here, just observing.
I love it. Thank you for jumping in. He's on the email list, so he got the invite, guys. If you haven't jumped on my email list, do so now. You can look in the description of this video and see how to get on. All right, so Lamont, I'm going to hand it over to you, and then I will close out.
All right, so I got a little bit different of a perspective than everybody. I'm like traditional, but a little bit modern, but like I believe in gender roles like 100%. Say hi.
I can't resist a baby.
I believe in gender roles like 1,000%. Like I wanna go out and work. I wanna work for my woman. I wanna work for my family. I wanna, the idea of a 50-50 relationship just does not appeal to me, and I don't know if it's based on the level of my balance of masculinity and femininity. I don't know if my balance, makes me just want that. But I know I can do everything myself. I can cook myself. I can take care of my kids myself. I can do everything myself, and I think that women can do everything themselves also, but I don't want to. You know, I want my woman to do certain things because I want her to take pride in those type of things that she do. You know, for me in the household, I take pride in the smallest things. Like I don't let my girlfriend touch a doorknob, and I take pride in that. And I don't know why, I just do. Like I would be offended if she wanted to pay for something wanted to pay for dinner. It just is what it is, you know. And I believe that women should make money. Absolutely, I don't believe that they should deal with the stress of working. And I just think that based on the data that I've collected, they shouldn't be dealing with that stress. Like whenever a girlfriend of mine has come home from work, she keeps the energy that she. I guess maybe they say women are they absorb energy or something like that. They say they absorb. They come home and they tell me about the entire day. I know everybody's name at the job. Everybody. I know all the drama going on. When I come home, she don't know nobody's name at my job because I turn it off.
Compartmentalized,
it's
right?
always,
yeah.
I don't care. It's not that deep to me. I don't carry that around with me. Like I believe that women should make money like you. You have this pot. You do your thing. You make money, right? But it doesn't require you to actually deal with the physical stress of going out and being competitive. Like I thrive off of that. I thrive off of being competitive. Like it's a part of me. I'm just, I think a lot of times, like the idea of the power struggle, a lot of times when you do give women that power of, they think they have that, when they feel like they have the power of like being the leader in a relationship or whatever. I think, hold on one second.
She wants some of that power, okay, the YouTube power.
Yeah, I feel like it never, like, so I'm a man, right? I wanna pay all the bills. Me making more money than my woman doesn't change anything. If I'm broke, if I'm broke, my woman would not notice. She would never know how much money I have, right? She don't know if I got a lot of money, if I got a little bit of money. She won't notice because I don't change at all. My demeanor, the way I treat her, nothing changes. I don't think a lot of women can say that when they have money, that whether I'm broke or whether I got a lot of money, I'm the same. No, if a woman is broke, she's probably going to be complaining a lot, right? If a woman got a lot of money, she's probably going to be not putting up with the idea of making things work with you in that relationship. It's just like, I don't need a man. I got money. Like, I don't gotta deal with this, and like if they don't have a lot of money, they're probably going to be, upset or just stressing, and that'll be manifesting in certain ways. Like I said, I'm to a degree traditional, but at the same time, I understand that my idea of what I grew up thinking a traditional man was literally just working, just and doing those type of things. But it didn't. I think a man can be traditional and work, but also be to a degree nurturing. Mm-hmm. Like I love my kids. I give them kisses all day throughout the day. I can't stop giving them kisses, right? The idea that you can be a leader without being a tyrant, like people don't think that. Of course, we grew up with a toxic form of that, but I think I think a lot of men actually balance being that leader and being a true leader. It's okay. Hold on. Okay. Wait. Okay.
As you're demonstrating it right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think just being a leader does not mean being in control. Being a leader, for one, means that you make the best decisions for you and your family to get to that collective goal, right? Whether that means that you're the one in the driving or that means you're in the passenger seat, you delegate, babe, I can't drive that well. I want you to drive. Whatever it is, you get this delegation, but somebody's the leader. And not all males are leaders, because I think you need to grow to be a leader. You have to be taught how to lead. Like I know a lot of times, like y'all ever been told, like when growing up, you should be a leader, not a follower. I think that's the worst thing anybody should ever tell us. Mm-hmm. You should be a leader, not a follower, because then people just start telling people what to do. They don't teach you how to be. You don't just be a leader and not a follower. There's nothing wrong with being a follower, right? And you need to know how to be a leader. Don't just not listen and then you think you're a leader, But yeah, I don't want to take up too much time.
We have very kindred spirits, so I love everything that you had to say We're going to be unpacking a lot. Lamont and I have very similar values, and what I don't know if he uses the terminology, the psychology terminology, the divine and, the wounded, but as he spoke of the dictator, that is a pendulum that has swung to a wounded side. And even the word lead, if you think of someone leading, you can only be a leader if you turn around and there are people following you. You can try to shove people and corral them, but that's a dictator. A leader is someone who just goes and there happen to be people following because they want to follow. So I think it's really important that we take away the poison from what is so beautiful in design, and it gets to a lot of what Mike was talking about. He said someone in the audience actually said the faith, structure, and respect is what has been missing, but it goes perfectly, I believe, with what Mike was saying as well. He just said it in such a beautiful way. But that structure, I think a lot of people want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't like structure because it seems like it's too rigid, but you do need that structure, just like a house needs structure, but you could be flexible on where the windows go and things like that. But oh my God, there's so much to unpack. I'm so excited, you guys. This is by far going to be my most favorite series yet. And like I said, I'm going to override the once a month thing. We're going to just do it for the month of April. I think it's perfect for my birthday month since this is something that makes me happy. So we'll bring you guys back. You all are more than welcome to come back, these panelists here. And if anyone wants to join in from the audience, just make sure you're on my email list. Those who said they didn't get the email, not quite sure why, because I sent it out right before the show started. So you guys, thank you again for coming on. If you haven't subscribed, please do so now and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I go live. But cheers to bridging the communication gap between men and women. I believe Chanel said that it seems like when you talk to people, the men and the women want the same thing. We pretty much do. We want harmony, balance. We want to feel like we can walk in our strengths. And so we want to have a partner that we feel has our back and gives us grace when we need it, because none of us are perfect. So I think that we have less of an uphill battle than social media, and the media wants us to think the matrix has a vested interest in keeping us apart. You didn't hear that from me. So I'm going to do everything I can to go against mainstream and bring us together, okay? They said, when is your birthday? Oh, mine is April 28th, so I'm all the way at the end. All right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. And if you guys are going to be sticking around for a second, I just ask you mute yourself until I give you the thumbs up that I am off the air. But until next time, you guys, tell someone that you love them, and I hope it is very apparent how much I love you.